I got two options right now: get a dog or find a wife. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
I mean, one's a lot easier to find than the other.
Correct. And to hold on to in terms of relationship stuff in general.
He ain't going anywhere, or
Yeah.
she ain't going anywhere in terms of the dog.
Right.
But the other one,
Who knows?
hey, what's happening, you guys? Welcome back to the Proclivity Podcast. This is episode 139, and it's the Daily Drive. Daily Drive is shortened and condensed, and we're delivering you information fast, quick, and with a little dash of fun. So we're going to dive right into the topic today, which is deodorants. Deodorants. We don't necessarily think to ourselves too often, wait, what I'm putting in my pits could be causing some health effects. And it could be the missing piece to some of the health gains that you're looking for. And so, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about the science behind why we sweat and body odor. Why do we even sweat in our armpits? What's the point of it? We're going to talk about conventional deodorants, the ones that we've been slopping into our pits for however many years. Slopping. You see what I
Yeah.
did there? It's because we're trying to downplay conventional, and we're going to upplay different deodorant alternatives that are light, airy, refreshing, and healthy for your skin. We'll also talk to you about some different things that we can do in our lifestyle to actually decrease body odor. So buckle in. This is going to be quick. It's going to be fast. And like I said, sprinkle of fun. Emily, you ready to go?
Ready, Freddie.
Thank you for calling me Freddie. Let's start off with just understanding body odor, body sweat. Give us a breakdown. What's the point of it? How does it work? What's that about?
So the main role of sweating is to regulate our body temperature. So that's first and foremost as a priority. So that's important. Yet another part of it is to detox, right? So detox toxins out of our body that are not meant to be there. So that's one way, right? We poop, we pee. Those are other primary ways to detox, but sweating is a big one as well. And so that could be, right, the smells could be telling you something about what you're detoxing from or what's going on in your body, stress, hormone issues, all sorts of things. And then the amount that you sweat is another sign of if things are going well or not.
Really? So if you're sweating more than you usual, because some people are just more sweaty, right? They sweat more often. What's the signs of that? I'm curious on that.
Yeah. So if you find that you're excessively sweating, right, you're like compared to the person next to you, or just like what in general. Sometimes that can be an organ blockage or a drainage pathway blockage, right? So something
Hmm.
could be clogged up, whether it be your liver, your gallbladder, your kidney, some kind of organ is a little stuck, and maybe that while you're sweating more, that's a way for your body to detox more aside from that organ that's a little stuck. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I mean, sweating is a healthy thing. We haven't gotten in too much. We have a blog on sauna, and we just put that out. Guys, feel free to head to www.proclivity.co and head to our blogs. We have a ton of them. We do one every single week, and we talked about saunas and the importance of sweating and how sweating can be a huge detoxer, and it can be really healthy for you, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah. So if you're looking to help support your detox pathways in general, that could be a good push and mover for sure.
And when we're not detoxing correctly, and I don't want to get too far off path here, but I feel like this is something that people would ask about is what are some of the top signs that you're not detoxing correctly?
Yeah. So it could be a ton of different symptoms that pop up: headaches, skin issues, gut issues, So specifically with the gut, it's like constipation or floating stools. That's like a gallbladder sign. If you have eczema, that's usually like a kidney, bladder, or yeast issue. So dysbiosis in the gut. All sorts of symptoms. That's the hard part is it can show up in a lot of different ways, but a lot of times it's hormonal too, which we'll
Mm,
talk about. Yet it could be a lot of symptoms that you're like, I thought I had this under control. I'm doing all the quote unquote right things to fix this problem and it's not
sure,
working.
sure, sure. So it's really important to be able to detox and to sweat.
Oh, yeah. Or else they get stored in your body and your tissue and they show up in one way or another in a physical manifestation.
Right, right. Yet in society, it's frowned upon to be the stinky kid in class or to have the big sweaty pits on a summer day. So what we tend to do is we go, oh, let me put some deodorant into my armpits. What's what's the how does deodorant work here? Right? Well, let's start off with that. And then let's get into what are the typical different ingredients that are found in deodorants.
Yeah. So most conventional deodorants, they have two components to it to help with smell and to help you sweat less, essentially. And so usually most antiperspirants will have aluminum in them. That's going to help you not sweat as much. It's going to block the sweat glands from doing its job. That's the sweating part. And then it's going to have a fragrance or some kind of smell part to help offset the smell, right? If you,
Mm,
especially if you have quote unquote bad BO or just like something funky going on, if you're stress sweating, those are all going to have different odors to them.
got you, got you. And so, what are the chemicals that are in conventional deodorant that we are like, ooh, you might want to watch out for those?
Yeah, the top ones, aluminum is the first one I look for because that is the thing that's blocking your sweat from happening. So in my head, I'm like, whoa, it's blocking my body's natural processes from detoxing. I don't want that. Not
Mm,
only does it do that, but number two, aluminum is a toxin to your body. So you're making the whole situation worse in terms of toxicity in your body. And so aluminum has been linked to, the studies aren't like super crystal clear, but it's been linked to things like breast cancer, Alzheimer's, and all sorts of other things in terms of hormone disrupting issues. Um, so there's that. And then the fragrance side, we look at I look at phthalates, which is like a synthetic fragrance. So sometimes you'll see it as like listed as fragrance. Sometimes it'll say phthalates. Sometimes we'll see parabens.
mhm.
Those are the top ones I look for to avoid.
I mean, and this is so interesting. You know, again, I want to stay on topic, but I want to stretch this a little bit. Is you're talking about Alzheimer's, and you know, I'm when it comes to doing sauna, there's a lot of studies that show that sweating more helps to reduce the chance of getting Alzheimer's. And so as soon as you said like, oh, aluminum and it's blocking our ability to detox, like we're meant to sweat and we're meant
Mm-hmm.
to detox. This is part of our body staying healthy. And it's like creating a traffic jam on I-80 when it should be just cruising along. And so we're
Mm-hmm.
creating all these internal accidents in us when we don't allow ourselves to naturally sweat. And this brings up a point of when people are looking at us like, oh, that's crazy. You do cold therapy, you're getting this really hot sauna. That's wild. But you guys, our body was meant to regulate itself in a vast amount of temperatures. And we have gotten to a point where we're climate controlling everything.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a house or an office, climate controlled. We get into a car, climate controlled. We get home, climate controlled. When really it's okay to wake up and your house is a little cold.
Mm-hmm.
Or you get home and your house is a little hot and you want to sweat.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're like Emily and she was like, hey, if I want to get some sauna, I just keep the windows rolled up on a hot day. And I keep a sweatshirt in the back of my car and I just sweat it out going home. It's actually a really good way to be able
It's
to,
a real thing.
it's a real thing. It's a real thing, you guys, to be able to sweat that out. So we know with conventional deodorants, again, we're looking at it and we're going, oh, I don't want to sweat. I don't want to have the pit stains, those kind of things. Now, I've heard that the pit stains are actually from the deodorant itself. Is that true?
Oftentimes, yeah, I actually don't know. I've never looked into that in terms of like not wearing deodorant and there's still stains. I assumed it was from one, the deodorant, depending on what kind you have, and two, what you're sweating now. It could be partially that as well. Yeah, I
Mhm.
don't know that for sure.
Okay. Well, you guys, we're, we aren't the ones that say, hey, we know everything. And we sure like throwing those out there. So if you guys know, let us know. Put it in the comments. All right, let's continue to move on. So we know that conventional deodorant can cause different health effects. We talked about breast cancer, some hormonal disruptions. Uh, is there any other like secondary? We talked about the big ones. Is there any kind of secondary ones that maybe people wouldn't think about?
I mean, it could just be low level things, like I said, like headaches, little skin irritations, gut issues, PMS, menstrual cycle stuff, lowering of testosterone. That's just like the littlest of things that you just may not even recognize as it contributing to that.
Yeah, yeah. See, guys, you're thinking to yourself, man, I just don't want to be the stinky one, and we get it. So let's flip it here, and let's move on to Emily. What are first and foremost before we start looking at like alternative deodorants? What are some lifestyle changes that we can do to be able to not be the stinky kid in class?
Well, it's the foundations that we teach, right? Specifically, when I first think food, right? So, can we eat more natural food, things that feel good to us, less refined foods, less food dyes, less sugar, things that are going to support our body. So I think immediately to some people who've been told that fat or saturated fat's bad. It's like, okay, let's get some more fat in there so we can start to get our GI moving more properly, support our gallbladder, because gallbladder drainage issues are very common. And oftentimes I see that those people are not eating enough fat and saturated fat or good quality fat in general. So that's an
Mm,
example. So food quality, getting the right ratios for you when it comes to macros. Um, and then when it comes to exercise, like, are we exercising? Are we sweating daily? Right?
mm,
Can we find a way to sweat, whether it be through exercise, sauna, whatever it may be? So sweating, and then supporting our hormone health in general. And so it's not just deodorant, it's also things like laundry detergent, like lotions and makeup, and so many things that can have synthetic fragrances and aluminum in our aluminum foil when we cook with food, right? Avoiding those things as much as possible. So those are like the most basic things: is eating quality foods, making sure we're sweating, peeing, pooping every day, right? Drinking lots of fluids for that. And if you're not, why are we not sweating, or why are we not going to poop every day or multiple times a day? Why are we not peeing enough or drinking enough water, right? We want to get to the root cause of those things. There's lots of other little things you can add in there, but those are the most basic. You need to start there.
wow. That comes back to the analogy of like, we want that freeway to be flowing both ways. And the more um, uh, effects that we have from our atmosphere or the place that we're in, the more it can block up those detox pathways.
Mhm.
And so it can cause a little backup and could potentially change the way that we smell, the way we sweat, so on and so forth, correct?
Correct. Yeah. And then I didn't mention this, but stress always, right?
Mm,
If we're stressing out, we are usually halting certain systems in our body that aren't necessary for immediate survival. And then it releases stress hormones, right? So then if you ever notice when you're stressed, your sweat may smell a little different. And so it's releasing different hormones. And so we want to be aware of how we're managing our stress and if it's affecting our detox pathways.
right, right, right. Is this the reason why? Listen, Emily and I don't drink anymore. I mean, every once in a while, you might catch a drink in our hands. Um, and maybe you can remember this. Is you might have to go a little bit farther back than I do. Uh, but when you have a heavy night of drinking and you wake up the next day, and maybe you can't smell yourself, but somebody else is like, "Oh my gosh, you smell like liquor." Is that because your body's detoxing all that liquor and it can't process it all through the liver?
Yeah, you're probably sweating some of it out. And that's a good point. I meant to mention in terms of like a basic to do to help improve these things, minimize drinking. That's first and foremost, but also things like Tylenol, Advil, things that will stress our liver out. Anything that stresses your liver out. So if you have a headache after wine, that might be a sign that your liver is a little stressed. So yeah, these are all things to keep in mind.
Mm. And again, I'm going to stress this a little bit because this is the question that came to mind. How are we going to know if we if our liver isn't detoxing correctly? Do we need to take blood work? Do we need to? Is there other different signs that we can do? What, like if somebody's like, well, I really want to know if I'm detoxing correctly, what would be the best route?
Well, you could get some lab work done, but honestly, the best way to do it is just a mental checklist of, hey, am I pooping at least once a day every day? Am I drinking half my body weight in ounces of water? Am I sweating once a day? And then the symptoms, check your symptoms. Am I super smelly? Am I excessively sweating? Do I have skin issues? Those are the top ones that I look at, right? Because if
Gotcha.
our liver's not detoxing appropriately, then it's going to show up in some other way, like I just listed.
Okay. Okay. So there's some of the techniques that to keep in mind, guys, when it just comes to your health in general. Now let's move on to alternative ways to use deodorant, whether that's an actual brand or different ways that we can cover up the stink or not sweat as much. So I know I have mine that I use, but let's do an introduction. What are some healthy alternatives when it comes to deodorant?
Right. So finding one that's aluminum free, phthalate, fragrance free. Any of in one way that I do this before I get into my favorite brands, but you can use a couple different apps. My favorite is the EWG Healthy Living app. Go in there, you type the brand name, or you can just search of like deodorants that have a good score. But you can find the brand. It scores it based on its toxicity in terms of ingredients and how it's the safety level for it, and it explains why they dock it or what is unsafe in there and at what level. So that's a great resource for all sorts of different body products, home products, sunscreen, stuff like that. So that's one way. Another way is to just experiment with some different brands. My favorite is Primarily Pure. I've also used Fatco. They have a spray and a stick. Love both of those. I
Mm-hmm.
alternate between those usually. Beauty Counter is a third one that I've used before too, and very happy with. And then fourth, I will say Native deodorant. You can find in most stores, so that might be the most accessible if you're in a store looking around.
Yeah, yeah. Primarily Pure is one that I use. I use the charcoal one, and I have found for me that works really, really great. I also like the Fatco as well, and if you guys want, you can use Proclivity at checkout with Fatco. If you're not
Mm-hmm.
using Fatco in general, it, literally the best way to take care of your skin in the most natural, organic way is Fatco, and so you can use Proclivity in checkout. Emily uses it. I use it. Shelby uses it. Gia uses it. Our whole team uses it. We're
Mm-hmm.
big supporters of them. I haven't used. Did you said Native? I haven't used
Mm-hmm.
Native.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between Native and Primarily Pure and Fatco?
I believe Native just has a little bit more ingredients. It's more your typical deodorant roll on. Fatco and Primarily Pure are very simple in ingredients. And you do have to test these out because some people are sensitive to baking soda or certain ingredients. And so that's why you want to test it out for you, see how your skin reacts, and see if it works for you. But if you still have issues, that could be, again, a blockage. And you could do additional things like if your diet is down, you're sweating every day, you could try stuff like getting a lymphatic massage to help like move things. You could do dry brushing. You could support yourself with certain herbs for lymphatic drainage. There's lots of different things we can go into, but we still, again, need to get the basics down of sweating, drinking enough water, sleep, stress management, eating quality food.
What about bouncing on a trampoline for lymphatic
Yeah,
drainage?
that's a real. Yep, that's real. You can do that. You can jump rope, bounce on a trampoline, jumping, shaking, all those things.
It's one of my favorite things. Every single morning,
Does feel good.
I do a little tapping on the body, and then I jump up and down,
Yeah.
open up my mouth nice and big, and just make a big old sigh. I just wonder what my neighbors think of me.
Ooh, I will think I will add in one other thing for the ladies. A wire bra is another thing that can make lymphatic flow stagnant in your chest area, right? So that would be like another like red flag if you're using aluminum deodorant and underwire bras. It
Ooh,
causes a lot of stagnation and leads to a lot of issues. So wire free.
get that and your favorite wire-free bra. Go.
Oh dang, I don't know the brand name. I'll have to get back to you guys on that.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of brands out there nowadays though doing it.
Yeah, they are doing it. They are doing it. All right. So these are the products that you can buy. But what if you're like, no, I want to go full natural? Is there anything that you can do at home uh, that can help with as a natural deodorant?
Yes. So Mama Natural, I believe, she has basically a recipe for homemade. It's like 3 ingredients. You can do that with with essential oils, baking soda, maybe coconut oil or shea butter. I forget the third one. So yeah, you could make your own.
Cool.
Yet knowing it might be like a little bit more gritty.
Hmm.
You can make a spray. Again, Fatco has a spray with some apple cider vinegar and some essential oils. So those are your next option.
All right. So now they have a couple different options. Is there, and you mentioned this a little bit of like, hey, when you're switching over, should there be a detox period of like, hey, just go a week or 2 weeks without deodorant at all, and then start reintroducing, say, different healthier alternatives?
I don't think you need to go through a deep no like a process where you don't wear anything at all, because if you get one that, especially if it's aluminum free, you're going to be sweating more. So that's going to be helpful in general and might
Cool.
just alone, yeah, solve things. So try it out.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So there you go, guys. This is a short one and a quick one. We wanted to get you to it in terms of deodorant, what we use, being able to be careful of your current deodorant choices. If you are just using store brand conventional deodorants and you're having any type of symptoms or issues that you're like, oh man, I don't know what this, it could be your deodorant. We got to
Mm-hmm.
think to ourselves, are we creating an open pathway to detox? And that's not only just your deodorant, but those are the things around your house. Those are fragrances. Those are your cooking utensils, pots, pans, uh, de- uh, um, laundry
Laundry
detergent,
detergent,
so
soap.
many soaps. These are all key parts, guys. You want to feel incredible going into your 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. It starts now and being able to take care of your body now. And so we hope that this was beneficial to you. If you have more questions, feel free to reach out to us. Emily at proclivity.co or Joel at proclivity.co. We'll link some of those products below in the podcast. And anything else, Emily? Did I cover everything?
No, if you guys have any other questions, yes, like Joel said, reach out to us, DM us, email us.
There it is. There it is. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this Daily Drive, episode 139. Short, quick, right to your dome. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. If you're interested in getting to know us more, head to www.proclivity.co. We have a ton of resources for you to be able to help you live your healthiest and happiest life. That's it. Wrapping it up. Until we see you next time,
Best day ever.
best day ever. Hey, Em.
Hey, Joel.
You had two choices. I feel like I already know the answer to this. You can either have a computer or a phone. You can't have both in your current lifestyle right now. You either have a cell phone or you have a computer.
Dang.
Got her.
Interesting. Ooh, man. I wanted to say computer, but I'm like, I have to carry that in the car with my child on a run. Like, what would I do? I'm going to say phone then.
Keep the phone, not the computer.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that would be way easier day to day. Just work would be challenging.
Massively challenging. Massively. You're just going to Zoom everybody on your phone and take notes while you're on your phone.
I'd probably do paper notes, like handwritten. Yeah.
Well, there she is. There you go, guys. For
Wait,
what?
I had a question for you. Remember last podcast I said I had a question for you this time?
Oh, shoot. Okay. You go.
Okay. What?
Yes.
I don't know if I remember it right, but it's my question, so I can make it what I want.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. If you had a go-to snack right now, what would it be?
Pork rinds.
I knew it.
Hands down, pork rinds.
Yep.
Other than when I open it up and it smells like.
Correct.
I don't even. What is the smell like?
I know. I was like, why do people like pork rinds? They smell disgusting, and didn't try them for literally till like maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then you taste them, and you're like, oh, this is good. If you get a good brand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And our favorite brands.
4505 in Epic.
Yeah.
Oof. The oh my gosh, salt and vinegar of the Epic, and then the plain sea salt or the red ones, like a treat of the 4505 because there's a little coconut sugar.
There is a little bit
treat for sure.
Oh, golly goodness. What about you? What's your go-to snack right now? 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, pork rinds. That's what I was gonna say too.
Virtual high five. Give it to me. There it is. You guys, if you have a favorite snack or you'd pick your phone over your laptop, I for sure would throw my phone out and never have a phone again. I'd be so happy with that. I'd have a pager. Somebody needs to get a hold of me.
You don't have children, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and for 2010 years, nobody had cell phones.
Correct, but there were more things happening.
That's right, guys. We appreciate you guys. Leave a comment, like, review, share, or don't. Either way, we still love you. Bye.
See ya.